What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Uprise post-game show. Blazers finally got a W tonight. I'm so glad I can make one of these post-game shows after a win. It's been a long time coming. They snapped their 4-game losing streak with a final score of 124 to 113. I don't know if that's 100% correct, but got a 10-point win in overtime against the Atlanta Hawks. Blazers didn't play all that well. Definitely struggled throughout the game. Atlanta's not a good team. They're missing John Collins and took overtime to knock them off at home. But on a night where the team was kind of banged up, where it was unsure if Whiteside and Whiteside were going to play, on a night they didn't have Rodney Hood, this was a good win for the Blazers to get to right the ship. Had a couple of good performances. CJ came on strong late. We got a lot to talk about on this post-game show. I'm joined by my podcast co-host Eric Brandt, co-host of the Blazers Uprise podcast, and we're going to dive deep into this game. So first, Eric, I want to get your thoughts on this game. You can talk about anything. There's a bunch of different topics. We'll just kind of rifle on through them.
Man, I'm just happy we got a win.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have taken overtime, but I'm not going to complain at this point. Like, I'm just happy.
For sure, man. For sure. I guess I could go to chat and see what they want to talk about first, because I don't know where to start. Or you know what? I'll read off the box score first, just to set up this post game show. For the Blazers, you had 30 points by Damian Lillard, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 8 for 17 shooting. He played 44 minutes tonight. He played the whole second half. We're kind of running him into the ground early on this season. He's playing a ton of minutes, and we'll get to that at some point, because I saw you saying something online about it. Yeah, but he needed to play 44 minutes for us to win tonight. CJ McCollum, 23 points, 11 for 23 shooting, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 42 minutes played. I thought CJ's defense was actually pretty solid tonight. He got some deflections. He had 2 steals. He had 2 blocks as well, and that was a decently efficient shooting clip for him, considering how bad he's been struggling. Whiteside had a good game, 21 points, 12 boards, 7 for 13, 3 blocks. That second half by Whiteside, I thought he played phenomenal. I thought his rim protection was what we were waiting for.
And real quick, too, props to him for making free throws this year.
7 for 9.
He's been clutch in fourth quarters of games, and it's awesome.
I mean, you saw the clip of him working out this summer, shooting free throws, and it looked smoother. Last season, he kind of had this weird little step up to the line that he did. He's eliminated that. His form looks smoother. He's made some form adjustments. He talked about that earlier this year. His free throw shot looks a lot better, and he's knocking down free throws, and we needed every one we could have gotten out of him tonight. Off the bench, you had Anfernee Simons with 20 points. He shot 8 for 12, 3 for 5 from 3. Had a couple assists, couple of steals as well. Anfernee had a really solid game. This kid is looking really, really good. His defense, I think, was also solid as well. He kind of wavered there in the second half, but there was definitely some more of those defensive flashes I'm liking out of him. You had Tolliver 6 points, Trent 7 points. No really other noticeable performances other than the bench guys, and Bazemore had 13 against his old team, 8 rebounds, hit a couple of clutch threes. He had a really good game against his old team. That was good to see. 2 of those threes were clutch. We just lost Eric. You back? You good? Okay. Yeah, it started making random beeps at me. Yeah, I know the stream heard that too. It started making random beeps at me. So anyway, I'm gonna yeah, just let me know when you're back. Gonna check in with chat for the first time tonight. We finally get a win, big win. We did it. We finally won a game. You guys are loving Ant. Starting from the top of this chat. OJ Mayo Light, OMG at Katori Live, what's up, man? Dante Nero, damn, this is how winning feels like. Yeah, tell me about it. This is what a winning post-game show feels like. It feels good. This was a bad win. After losing 4 games in a row, there's no such thing as a bad one. I hope the last 2 minutes is what we see moving forward. CJ making threes, Mario making smart plays, Hassan doing good in the paint, Dame showing up on D. Hopefully they can build off this. That's off Alvaro, but that's from Alvaro Bazan. I'm probably saying your name wrong. Yeah, their energy level picked up. That's why I noticed in the overtime they played with the energy they needed to play with all game. They played with a ton of energy, and I think after kind of blowing another game at the end of regulation with an unclutch defensive possession where they gave up a Herder 3, and then the possession after that they scored to go up 2 again, and then they gave up a Herder layup. I think that kind of motivated them to play with more energy in that overtime period because they didn't want to lose another game and they didn't want to choke away another game with a poor defensive possession at home like they did with Philadelphia. So I really like their energy, and it always helps when CJ's able to knock down shots. He kind of had a bit of a breakout game, and hopefully he can turn this into better production moving forward. Yeah, you could tell he had a big old smile on his face, man. And we need CJ to hit shots. And the thing is, we're gonna start off with CJ since he's been the hottest topic of late. I thought he played an all-around better brand of basketball today. It wasn't even just hitting shots. I had you muted. I can't keep muting you.
I'm self-muting, so.
Okay. Yeah, I know you got your little ones. But he didn't play he played a better brand of basketball outside of just hitting shots. You know, he played better defense. He still got beat at times. That Herder layup. Actually, that's not the play I'm thinking of. There's a play Herder got fouled late down the stretch where he just completely fell asleep on defense. He has defensive lapses. He still had those in this game, but he actually got a lot of deflections, got his hand on the ball a lot, especially inside. And then he kind of waited for the offense to come to him. He wasn't isolating quite as much. It was a lot more playing within the system. He still had his moments where he went into CJ hero ball isolation mode, but it was better than how it's been, and that was promising for me. His defense was a little bit better than how it's been, and just his overall style of play. He got some big rebounds as well. A couple of his missed shots he really hustled to track down, like he was really busting his ass, which usually you wouldn't really say about CJ McCollum, you know what I mean? Like a couple of those hustle plays normally he wouldn't have gotten, but he's heard the criticism, and he even responded to some people on Twitter saying, you know, that criticism is a part of the profession and he can handle it. And, you know, dude hears this stuff. And Blazer fans were really hard on him the past couple of days. I believe a little bit. I mean, like, I get frustrated at him, but I believe a little bit harder than they should have been. All this talk about trading him when we can't even trade him. All this talk about benching him. Benching him wasn't going to help. Trading him wasn't possible. This is a guy we just got to stick it out. And hopefully the coaching staff is holding him accountable behind the scenes and pointing out where he's struggling in terms of the way he's playing.
And before, not this offseason, but the offseason prior, he said that the biggest step he can take in his game is becoming a playmaker and a passer, but then his passing dipped even worse last year. So, like, it's not something he hasn't expressed or thought about in the past, but you could tell kind of it. He had one ISO possession because he got Len switched on him, like, right towards the beginning of the game. And then from there on, you could tell he was like looking to pass first instead of shoot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like necessarily the best way to go about it, but I do appreciate that he's trying to.
Yeah, and that Len isolation. See, I don't have a problem with him isolating if he's hot or isolating if he has a mismatch advantage. You get a guy out on like Alex Len, usually CJ's able to score in that situation, so I don't mind him isolating those situations. I'm not saying he should never isolate. It's all when he like isolates, and a lot of times when he decides to isolate, he's literally not looking to pass, and he's going to force a shot no matter what happens. And those are a lot of the plays that I struggle with, you know, plays where he drives, gets double teamed in isolation, but tries to force a shot anyway, even though he has open passing options. Those are the plays that he needs to cut down on. So it's not necessarily just like him never isolating, it's him reducing those plays. And I thought he did reduce those plays today. I thought he did play a better style of basketball. He made some nice passes too. He had a nice shovel pass to Hassan. He had a nice transition kick out to Dame early in the game. And if you remember, man, early on this season, he had a really bad habit of driving in transition with traffic around him, with
Yeah.
guys chasing him down, and forcing a shot at the rim and getting blocked or just getting smothered and not making the layup. That first half play shows me that he's been probably watching film, because he would have shot that layup earlier on this season. He kept shooting that layup. Instead, he slowed down, looked around him, spotted Dame trailing wide open for three, kicked it out to Dame. Dame knocked down that shot. So that was a positive thing to see, because that showed improvement in a specific situation from CJ. So I thought he played a solid game tonight, and that's why we were able to eke out this win.
Yeah, there's two things. One of them you kind of alluded to, but there's times where he shoots really early in the shot clock, like sometimes before we even have defenders set on the or rebounders set. The big's not even down the court yet.
And there's a lot of guys that do that though. Bazemore has a bad habit of doing that. Yeah. Tolliver too. Tolliver's a guy that definitely shouldn't. He's been doing that too.
But so like with Bazemore and Tolliver, they have to do that. Like if they're open, that's the only way they can get shots. CJ, however, though, can create at any point in the shot clock. So my issue with him is not necessarily that he's ISOing. It's just that he's ISOing before even trying any other offense first. Yeah. So, like, if he passes and the ball moves around and then it gets back to him, there's still 10 seconds on the shot clock or something.
And then he wants down. He needs to get a shot off before the shot clock. Yeah.
Then CJ is a tremendous weapon, and he like that. I just wish that sometimes he would try to get others involved first, and then get his when he knows he has to. And Dame. That's what makes Dame so great. He knows exactly when to, like, occasionally he'll shoot a bad, like, 40-foot, like, three-pointer. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, he knows when he needs to, like, take over and shoot the ball instead of just waiting for, or just forcing shots and not getting their teammates involved. And, like, in the second half, Whiteside gets a couple of good passes and finishes, and all of a sudden he's engaged the whole rest of the second half, because he got a couple lands, and that's all we need at the beginning of the games too. If he gets a couple buckets, he'll be engaged the whole game. And then my other thing with CJ is the thing about the hot hand. There was a time when Simons hit those 4 shots in a row, and CJ had him wide open in the corner again, and he went to pass to him, and then he just stopped and started dribbling. And it's like, dude, come on.
Yeah, it's in his DNA as a player. So, he's going to have his moments. It's just like I want him to work on cutting out those moments as best as he possibly can. And I thought he did that a bit tonight, and a lot of it is like subjective. There's certain situations where it's a good decision to isolate. There's certain situations where it's a bad decision to isolate, and he needs to pick his spots better, and that was kind of the complaint with him early on this season. So I did like the game that he played tonight. And
if he does pass more, he won't get as much coverage when he pulls up from the mid-range. People couldn't come and double him.
Yeah, if he made that little kick-out pass to the wing more often, then guys would be more hesitant to leave that wing in the corner, and he might have a little bit more space.
Because they're just flat out leaving the guy now and doubling CJ because they know the pass isn't coming. But if they have no idea if he's going to pass or shoot, that'll open up his game much more. And we're not saying this because we hate CJ or think he's a scrub or anything like that. I just think there's little tweaks he can make in his game, and he can be not as good as Dame, but like all-star level if he became a playmaker too on top of what he does. And he's a tremendous weapon to have in the playoffs. When you need a bucket and the half court's breaking down and you just aren't running an offense well. Our team does not run offense well anyway. So you need guys like that who can create your own shot in the NBA. So I don't think either of us like want him cut or you know, that's ridiculous. But yeah, he's definitely interesting. He I just don't think it's about scoring with him. I don't look at the box score and see, oh yeah, he scored 30 points or whatever. I just wish that tonight he was more impactful in other areas, and that's good to see.
Yep. Ken Bazemore had a little bit of a breakout there in overtime. Hit a couple threes, and that's a guy we need to hit shots for us. He hasn't been shooting the ball well so far this year. But I figured if he was going to have like a breakout moment, it was going to come against his former team. It was going to come against Atlanta, and that was kind of the case. It wasn't a huge breakout. He didn't have a 20-point game, but he hit a couple of clutch threes, and then he really locked up Trae Young on defense. Defended the pick and roll really well as the guy being screened. Shaded Trae Young towards his help beautifully. Kind of made Trae Young reject the screen at times and funneled him towards Whiteside, who, as I said, was doing a great job protecting the rim. And those two guys guarding Trae Young did a really good job. The thing is, when you funnel Trae Young away from the screen, he can't use that screen to get space to get off that 3-point shot like a guy like he and Dame do so well. And you're able to stay close enough to him where it's hard for him to pull up, so you kind of make him go downhill, and then when you have a rim protector, you got the rim covered, he doesn't really have many options. So I thought that was a good decision by Kent Bazemore. Maybe that was a good, maybe Stotts instructed him to do that, which would have been a good defensive move from Stotts because they weren't doing that earlier in the game. But they started doing it late, and it was working against Trae Young.
You mentioned this towards the beginning of the game. You cannot seg the big on on Trae Young.
Shout out to Elias for the $5 donation. Win is a win. Let's go. Thank you for the dono. What were you saying?
I was just saying, like you were talking at the beginning of the game, like they started off segging the big like they always do.
Yeah, man. And it was letting him pull from
Young.
3, and it was letting him get to that floater that he likes. He was missing it a lot.
Right.
It was just a case of like, okay, this guy isn't going to keep missing these shots. These are shots he likes. We saw it in the Clippers game where Kawhi was missing those shots, and it was like, this isn't going to keep working. He's going to get hot. And then Kawhi got hot in the fourth quarter because he was getting shots he likes all game, just with the way we were defending him. And then, he started hitting those mid-range pull-ups that we were giving him. So I was worried about that, but it was a good adjustment by the coaching staff, if that's what they coached Bazemore to do. People try and say I never give the coaching staff credit for anything, but that was a good decision. That was a good decision.
There was actually a play in the second half where Whiteside just gave a quick hedge. It was like 1 second, and it gave Baze just enough time to get back to him. And like stuff like that is just such little simple things in a defense that can be the difference between giving up like 30 points in a quarter and shutting a team down. And like I was glad I saw that. Like I said, I'm not sure if that was just them freelancing or if the coaches were instructing him to come up more. I'm hoping it's the latter because I really hope that the Blazers employ all kinds of different pick and roll coverages and not just stick to the same basic one all the time like we've talked about. But yeah, it was really cool to see it like how well it could work if they just tried different things.
For sure. You want to talk about Simons next?
Yeah, Simons, man.
All right.
That kid is good.
Yeah, you can go in on him. I'm eating an Oreo right now. I have a package of Oreos here. And
yeah, so he was on fire obviously in the third quarter, but he was struggling a little bit on defense too. But I mean, he was pretty much on an island trying to guard Trae Young. Like we don't expect Dame and CJ to do that on defense, so why should we expect Simons to shut down Trae Young? Because when Dame and CJ are guarding him, they're like Bazemore was when Dame and CJ are in the game. Bazemore was guarding Trae Young, not one of those two. So like it's kind of, I don't want to be too critical of his defense because we weren't hiding him, which is like I think that's good to see because like not hiding him means that he's gonna learn and get experience. So yeah, I mean he got abused a little bit, but when you're hot like that, I guess you're balancing it out. But it kind of sucks when he makes like 10 straight points and we're still losing by 4.
Yeah, that's the thing is Atlanta was scoring right back with him, but it got to the point where I was expecting his threes to go in, and he was shooting them with so much confidence. Dude, Simons has me excited. It's so much fun to watch a guy like that who has never played minutes before, and he just all of a sudden just starts balling out.
Yep.
It reminds me of like how exciting it was to watch Dame.
Yep.
Dame's rookie year, but Dame was also playing 36 minutes per game. Simons right now is averaging over 10 points per game. I think he's averaging like 11 points per game and 18 minutes per game. Tonight he only played 24 minutes, had 20. So like if Simons was playing 36 minutes, he'd be a 20-point per game scorer right now. I 100% believe that. And like
that's crazy though.
I know. I mean, like for a guy as young as him, when is his birthday? Because I thought he was already 20, but I keep hearing 19 years old. His birthday, he's 20 years old. Okay. Yes, I think TNT got that wrong the other night because I keep hearing 19. No, he's 20 years old. I just checked. But dude's just playing with a ton of confidence, and you can tell, like, working out with Dame gave him confidence, and you can tell he really worked this past summer.
I don't know if you noticed it during the game, but there was a point in the game where the offense wasn't going well, and the camera was zoomed in on him after he made a bucket, and he told Lillard, "I got this."
Did he? I didn't notice that. That's dope, man.
I know, like out of a 20-year-old who has barely played in the NBA before, that's so cool to see.
Yeah. I mean, that's the confidence I'm talking about. That's him being more vocal, which is something the team talked about before the season. Him, talking a little bit more, playing with confidence. You just got to build up a young player like that, and that's what Portland has done really well with young players in the past. They give them a lot of confidence, and to have a guy like Dame who's already given you the ball in a game like Philadelphia, down 2 with 3 seconds left, giving you the ball and you're knocking it down. Having Dame have that level of confidence in you as a 20-year-old is probably really, really uplifting, and probably it's going to help him all season long. Just a young player like that. It's his first time playing real NBA minutes, so confidence. He's not as confident as a 5-year vet, 6-year vet guy who started in the league before. So having your teammates build you up like that is it's really helpful for Simons.
Well, too, the play with 0.7 seconds left, it looked almost like Dame was a decoy, and the play was for Simons.
Yeah,
and that's crazy too to think about, like all the him, Dame, and CJ all being on the same floor, and we run the play for Simons. Like,
I think it's smart, man, because he has a quick shot, and he can also rise up. That's the thing. He can rise up and shoot quickly, so even if he's contested, he should be able to get a shot off. That's what he did. He almost knocked it down. It looked good coming out of his hand. That would have been insane if he had a game winner like that. But so Anfernee was fun. Anfernee was a lot of fun.
I hate when people undercut people on dunks, though, and then not even call a foul on it.
Chat, do you guys think that was dirty? That DeAndre Bembry, when he was trying to chase down Anfernee Simons on the fast break and he ran into the back of him? I don't think
it's dirty, but it should have been a foul.
It should have been a foul. But I don't know. I think he thought Simons was going to just race to the backboard and lay it up, so he was trying to keep up with him. And I think Simons slowed down a little bit to jump, and I think Bembry was a little bit surprised. So I didn't think it was like a dirty play. Most of the time when you're trying to dunk and you get hit in the legs, you get undercut. Usually it is a bit of a dirty play or a sketchy play.
Right.
But that was one of those rare instances where I don't think it was. I think he was surprised that Simons got up like that. He had probably never seen Simons jump before, to be quite honest. So
yeah, if you've never seen those like videos after practice or whatever from last year, then how would anyone know?
Exactly. So I bet he was shocked that this little young guy getting up like that.
The thing that's crazy about Simons is he can score like any way he wants to. Like, he can get to the rim. He's got that nice little floater off to bank shot. He's got the floater in the middle of the key. He can pull up from like 15. He's a lights out 3-point shooter. Like a weapon like that is pretty hard to defend. I just hope we continue to get him looks and minutes and stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, I thought he should have played down the stretch a lot. Chat was talking about why didn't Simons play down the stretch. I would have played a 4-guard lineup because the thing is, Atlanta was small. They were playing Jabari Parker at the 4, which Jabari Parker is a 4. It's not like he was a shooting guard or small forward playing the 4, but he's a guy who is 6'8". You know what I mean? Likes to play on the perimeter, so I think Bazemore could have handled him. You could have played Ant, Dame, and CJ, because the three wings they had out there was Trae Young, DeAndre Bembry, and Kevin Huerter. And I don't think any one of those three guys would really be an issue for Dame, CJ, or Anfernee to guard. Instead, we have had Hezonja in there, Hezonja's starting to really, really frustrate me, man. This is why I wasn't a fan of that signing. It's one of the negative things we gotta get to in a win. But the dude's just not. He's just not good, and that's what I said when we picked him up. Like, he's just not a good player, and people were giving me so much crap when I was saying that he wasn't a good player. They're like, "Oh, wait until he gets in a better situation." I'm like, we talked about this last year with Stauskas. You know what I mean? Like, just because a guy was a top 10 draft pick and goes from a losing situation to a winning situation doesn't mean he's going to live up to that draft status or where he was picked. And we bring Hezonja over, people were saying, oh, once he gets in Portland, it's so much better of a situation than New York or Orlando. And you look at the way he played point forward those last two games in New York, just wait, that's what he's going to do. He's so much better than Layman. You don't know what you're talking about. I got so much stuff like that, and it's just like, this dude just he's not the passer that I thought he'd be. He makes some nice plays off the dribble, but he's not a guy who'd get 5-6 assists per game. He's not a guy who's going to be your primary or even your secondary creator on a good team at any point. You know what I mean? Like, even with a bench unit, he's still not, like, he's not really creating shots for others. He's making dumb decisions too. A lot of his drives is just like he's driving straight into two defenders, running into them, and then it's like he's shocked they're there, and they've been standing there the whole time. I don't know. And then his rebounds bugging me too.
Yeah, if he's gonna play like start at power forward, he's definitely gonna have to pick up the rebounding. But I feel like if he could just hit some shots, it would open up his game so much more, because then he would drive, the passing lanes would be more open. Mm-hmm. But no one's even respecting his shot right now. So, like,
I mean, he's never been a good 3-point shooter. Right. The best.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, like, his style of play, like, if he could just become a good shooter, he would be a really solid player. It's just, like, if he's not going to make shots, it's going to ruin the rest of his game, because he needs the guy to, like, come out on him at the 3-point line, or if when he's at the elbow or something. If the guy's giving him space, he doesn't have the same lanes or the same ability to get around him as he would if he was knocking down jumpers. So until he actually proves that he can hit jumpers, I think we're going to see a lot of sagging off of him.
And that's what I said before the season is, watch, this guy isn't going to be guarded tightly. He hasn't been a good 3-point shooter in his career. His form's a little weird, has a lot of sideways movement, and he's not creative enough with the ball or quick enough to really be a sagging defender off the dribble. So where is his playmaking going to come into play if he can't break down the defense? So that's the thing. It just doesn't fit together. If he could hit threes and get guys to close out on him and then could use his quickness going downhill, then he'd be able to create a little bit more for other people. But a lot of his decisions going to the lane just boggle my mind. It's like there will be two people standing under the rim, and he'll drive at them from the 3-point line. They don't move. It's like you're driving from the 3-point line. You should have time to realize, okay, there's 1-2 guys parked underneath the rim, and he keeps going and will run into him and then try and, like, take the contact and adjust, and he has no chance. He usually gets blocked or throws up some wild crap, and it's just like, what are you doing, dude?
It's like if you took someone who thinks he's, like, super good at the gym, who's only good because he's playing against some, like, 15-year-old, and then you throw him into an NBA game and he thinks he can do the exact same moves. Yeah. But he doesn't get any separation or any kind of open shot, or he can't create for others in those situations.
Exactly. And tonight in 24 minutes, he's playing primarily power forward. I think that's probably the only position he played. Second biggest guy on the court. In 24 minutes, 2 rebounds.
The only thing I'll say about it is he wasn't brought in to be the starting power forward or play this much play in the clutch either. So I just feel a little bad that he's being judged based on not performing in that crucial of a role. Because if we had Collins out there right now, I think we'd probably be 6-3, and things would be a lot different. It's just frustrating.
We've played 10 games, so it's 6-4, 7-3.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is, though, it's like it's like an effort thing. It's not like he's boxing guys out, going hard after boards, and getting guys that are rebounding over him or something like that. It's like Jabari Parker had a putback. It was the play where the camera angle was above the backboard for whatever reason. That play in the second half, the ball got tipped back to Jabari Parker, and like Hezonja was like starting to walk back on offense, or he's just standing there, and Jabari Parker went after the ball, and Hezonja just kind of watched him do it. They started right next to each other, and ball got tipped back that way, and Hezonja just watched as Jabari Parker attacked the ball. That's the thing. There's a lot of possessions where Hezonja just watches guys rebound when he could get in the mix and really help out the team, and it's like when you're the second biggest guy in the court, that can't be a thing. And that's what I've noticed is he had a game where he had like 11 and 12 rebounds. I forget which game it was, but like that looks like a good rebounding stat, but a lot of it was misses that were kind of bouncing out to him and he was grabbing, or a lot of them were uncontested rebounds. He doesn't get in there and really make contested rebounds consistently, and we really struggle with him we really struggle to rebound with him on the floor. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, we've been giving up a ton of offensive rebounds the last few games with him starting right off the bat. But one thing is we don't run, so what's the point of even running down on offense? Yeah, we got a couple of baskets at the end of the game because we were up by 10 and they were trying to do everything they could to sell out to get offensive rebounds. But during the course of the game, it's not like we're pushing the ball up the floor anyway, so what's the point of running down there and not getting in for the rebounds?
Yeah, I don't understand it. He's just not that good, man. I'd still rather, like, Layman would get in there and get in the mix for those rebounds. Layman just was a better fit with the roster. I just was not a fan of that pickup. Got a lot of heat for it, and now I don't hear anything about Hezonja being some breakout guy and being phenomenal and all the stuff people were trying to tell me. That's the thing, is like that's the opinion people disagreed with the most. I got the most heat for, and it's just like the dude was a minimum level signing for a reason, and people were expecting far too much out of him. But let's move on from that, because this should be a positive post-game show because we finally got a win. So I'm tuning back into chat. We haven't really given chat all that much attention. So what do you guys want us to talk about? We've covered Anfernee, we've covered CJ, we've covered Hezonja. We can look at other NBA scorers. We can cover a different player.
Alvaro's asking Mario and Trent for Gallo. That doesn't come close to working under the salary cap.
We'd be sending out $2 million, $3 million in salary and getting back like $20 million. So
we don't have a trade exception big enough. We have a couple of like ones that are about $1.5 million, but
which we can take on a minimum contract in a trade.
Right.
You know what I mean? And minimum contracts don't really count like that. So I suggest you guys learn trade rules if we're gonna suggest trades. Just like the salary and how it matches up. You can bring back 125% of what you're sending out. So if you're sending out $16 million, you can bring back up to $20 million. If you're sending out $20 million, you can bring back up to $25 million. So that's why Bazemore and Hassan are valuable, because they're big expiring contracts, so they can bring back big salaries, because Bazemore's making $19 million. Hassan's making $27 million. But we're not going to talk about trades right now because we just won a game. I will have this next Tuesday, I've been teasing this, but I will have a trade talk video for you guys. But after a win, we should just be talking about this win, enjoying this win, because the last game we won before this was October. This was our first win in November. So
that's tough. So this is something I want to talk to you about. Dante Nero says Trent Jr. playing 16 minutes and Nas only 7. So at first, I didn't think Little was even going to be part of the rotation tonight, because he didn't come in with the second unit, and then he didn't play until I think it was about halfway through the second quarter. He finally came in, and he played the whole rest of the second quarter, I think, but because Stotts didn't bring Hezonja back in at his normal time to come back in. But I just couldn't believe that Little wasn't in the rotation with the second unit right off the bat.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. It's like, what more did you need him to do? What more did you need him to do the game before? What more do you need him to do against Brooklyn? Like, dude played great. and didn't, it's not like Gary Trent Jr. has done anything, yet Gary Trent Jr. is getting 16 minutes. I don't understand that. We needed some rebounding help. We needed additional defense. We needed a guy who was willing to cut off the ball. Those are things that little can do, and Gary Trent Jr. still hasn't been able to really find his shot at all. He did hit a 3 today, but I'll go check the stats. I know he didn't shoot well. He only hit one shot.
He had an ISO layup in the second half too.
Oh, he hit 3 shots.
Kind of a big shot. Yeah, he had he did okay.
He did okay. But it's just I'd rather put Little out there, honestly. I did miss the start of the fourth. I think like the first couple minutes of the fourth. I was watching this game at Blackrock for a while, and then I was driving home, so I tuned into the radio, but I missed like couple plays, and I assumed that was it. And I know one of them was that Trent layup, that Trent isolation score. So I'm gonna have to go watch the tape on that one. But I mean, even Tolliver, man, I don't understand why Tolliver is getting 22 minutes. Dude, it's 2 for 7 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3-point land. He had 2 turnovers in 22 minutes. Dude's not getting an assist. Dude can't pass. Like, dude can't create for others. Yet he's still like the two turnovers were like dumb turnovers too. Like that cross-court passes that have no chance of getting to their intended receiver type of thing. And I don't understand why Little is not getting a chance over Tolliver, especially after that pass game. The fact that Tolliver is still getting 22 minutes per game blows my mind. Scott Labissiere didn't play much either. He had 17 minutes, and what I've realized is Scott Labissiere is not going to play much power forward at all.
You mean 0?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I was adding a Whiteside, and Labissiere added up to 52, which makes sense because it was overtime. I was thinking he played a little bit tonight. But no, he didn't play any power forward, and that's the thing. Like, they're not going to play him at power forward because, I don't know. Maybe they think he's too much of a center, too big, but it's like when Tolliver is your option out there, Labissiere would be a better power forward, and at least we could give Whiteside some help on the boards because we kept getting beat on the boards. But Labissiere is going to get the Layman Vonleh treatment.
It's hard to know if he's not playing power forward right now because we don't have any other backup options at center, so he's saving him for when Whiteside's not in the game, or if he's just going to refuse to play the power forward at all. But at like situations at the end of the game, I guess this against Atlanta, I don't know about playing him that much at the 4. I mean, he couldn't really do much worse than Hezonja and Tolliver, but I don't know if that's the greatest team to match up with him there. But yeah, it's puzzling situationally why we're not putting our best defenders like on the court and stuff too.
I mean, Stotts' rotations have kind of confused me this season.
Why do you take Simons out?
I don't know. And the thing is, like, luckily it didn't come back to bite us in the butt, but that dude was on fire, and then he goes to the bench. I don't understand some of it. And the thing is, like, last game he was flexible. He played Simons and Little down the stretch, which was the right move because we needed their energy. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, Stotts being flexible with his lineup, and we lost. Now we win a game where it's like Stotts' lineup confused me, didn't make a lot of sense with his rotations. We still ended up getting the win, but it was against a worse team for sure. So I don't know.
How much would we be killing Stotts right now if we lost that game in regulation? And
I mean, the thing, if I don't know, I would be more vocal about why didn't Simons play down the stretch? Why was Hezonja playing? Because they had a small lineup, and that's the thing. I said that at the start of this podcast. But also, we've had 4 post-game podcasts to point out flaws and talk about coaching. It's nice to win a game and trying to, obviously I'm going to have a little bit different tone after a win compared to a loss. So that's just the way it goes. So I wanted to look at NBA scores because I haven't looked at scores tonight at all. I saw that Jokic hit a buzzer beater, or not a buzzer beater. He hit another game winner against the Timberwolves. I saw that. Pacers beat the Magic.
They only scored 100 points in overtime too.
Yeah, their offense doesn't seem like it's doing too well. I haven't really been able to catch them, but Doug McDermott 18, Brogdon 19 and 8. Brogdon is really having that jump that I talked about him having going into the season, getting over 20 points per game, and he's made a huge jump in his playmaking. He's getting like 9 assists a game right now, I'm guessing. Yeah, he's getting 21 points per game, 9 assists per game. And he's still shooting an efficient number. Only 31% from 3. I expect that to improve, but he's shooting 98% from the free throw line. He's literally automatic, and he's shooting 46% from the field. Like, that dude's been really, really good. That team's going to be tough when Oladipo gets back. Indiana's 6-4 right now. That team's a dark horse to make it out of the East, in my opinion. You know I love the Pacers. That's my favorite Eastern Conference team. But Brogdon and Oladipo, and you got Turner, and Turner's a great rim protector, and you got Sabonis off the bench. And they got most of their picks. They got some young guys they could trade too. Like, that's a team to watch out for that doesn't get talked about. They're kind of like the Portland of the East, in my opinion, in the way they don't really get the respect they deserve. 76ers beat the Hornets. Bucks beat the Thunder by 2. Giannis dropped 36. Cavaliers beat the Knicks 108-87. Cavs are 4-5, so the Cavs have a better record than us right now. That hurts.
Ouch.
Suns blew out the Nets. The Suns are now 6-3. The Nets we couldn't take care of at home. The Suns beat them by 26 points. So let's see how Colt figured. Aaron Baines did. Aaron Baines 14.7 boards, 6 for 10 shooting in 18 minutes. Yeah, dude's been phenomenal. And Raptors beat the Lakers, so Lakers lose. That's good. Lakers have had a super easy schedule to start this season. They finally face another legit team in Toronto, and Toronto dispatches them, and that was in LA. So, like, don't read too much into the Lakers being 7-2 to start the season. Their schedule has been super easy. I'll go look at their schedule right now. To start the season, they've got, let's see, they've beaten the Spurs in San Antonio. They beat the Bulls, the Mavericks. Let's see here. The Grizzlies, the Hornets, the Jazz, which was at home. Yeah, so like their schedule hasn't been that tough. That's the thing early on in the season. You can't read too much into records because the strength of opponents that teams have played are a lot different. We've had a tough schedule. We've had a lot of injuries, so we're 4-6 though, so that's not, not necessarily what I wanted, but if we start, 7-10, 8-9, we'll be in good shape given how hard the schedule is. And then, hopefully we get Powell back before 20 game mark. I don't know what the situation is with him, but I don't know. Probably wasn't the best idea to sign a 39-year-old when we were banged up already at center with Nurkic out.
I'm guessing if they knew he wasn't going to be ready for the start of the season that they wouldn't have signed him, but
yeah, it's just weird, man, because they were talking about him being ready for training camp, I think, when they signed him, and then he'll be ready. He should be ready for the opener. It's November 10th. The opener was October 23rd, and we still don't have like a timetable for return. So, dude, they're being so vague with it. It's frustrating, to say the least.
Yep. So Ryan Adams is asking, why does it always take till the last minutes of fourth quarter or overtime to play with some spunk? We've been saying this so much that like this team needs to get out and transition more. It needs to play with more urgency. It can't just walk the ball up the floor every time. But in those situations where we're down like 3 or 5, with a few minutes left, we have to play fast with urgency. So that's why it looks so good sometimes, because we are doing things that we want to do the whole game, but we never seem to do for some reason. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to take your questions, whatever you guys want to talk about. I haven't really been engaging with chat. So whatever you guys have.
Alvaro's asking, what do you think about Moses Brown and Jalen Horton being transferred to the Blazers officially? I think it was just simply an injury thing. You had a lot of guys that were questionable for tonight, and I think they just needed some depth in case some of those guys couldn't play. I expect them to be sent back down here soon. Yeah,
it wasn't a lasting thing. They can only have them up in the NBA for 45 days. That's the thing with two-way players is you have 45 days. You can have those guys at the NBA level, and then they have to stay at the G League level. That they could use up all 45 days, and then then they could be signed to a normal NBA contract and then be with the team as a normal player. That happened a couple years ago with Wade Baldwin, who was initially a two-way player, and then we signed. That was Wade Baldwin's first year with the team.
But we only have one spot, so we can only choose one.
Yeah, so I don't really think that'll happen.
I think maybe since we had 3 games in 4 days, that might have been the thinking was, you provide some depth for 4 days and 3 games, and then send it back down again.
Yeah, and you had Hood, Labissiere, and Whiteside questionable heading into today. So, those guys would have been our 11th and 12th man? Or no, our 9th and 10th man. Our 9th and 10th man? 10th and 11th man? Something like that. Like, we had only had like 8 or 9 players without them, so that's why they were brought up.
Yeah.
6th seed or 5th seed? I think it's too early to be talking about seed. What seed do you think will be? Yeah, I think it's a little too early. Things haven't really shaken out yet. Ask me again around 20 games, but even then our schedule is really tough early on, and who knows what this team will look like at the end of the season.
I think someone's asking, is Powell even practicing? I think he just got cleared.
I don't think he's doing normal, I don't think he's doing contact yet. I think he's doing I saw a clip of him shooting around. He was jogging around a little bit. And it's a foot injury, so it's not like something like a shoulder where you use it to bang. So if he's already kind of running a bit, then hopefully he's close. The thing is you put stress on that foot when you change direction, when you plant it hard into the ground, and but the thing is, Powell doesn't really change direction. He's not mobile. I don't know. So we'll see with him, man. It's just I'm starting to get Ezeli vibes from him, which I know it's a completely different injury, completely different situation. But I'm starting to just it just reminds me of the way it was with Ezeli, because we had these same conversations about when's Ezeli gonna play?
Right.
And dude just never played.
Nope. So I see a lot of people trashing Whiteside on the chat.
Why are we trashing Whiteside?
I don't know. I thought he had a pretty good game.
Do you think Whiteside is being bothered by his knee and ankle? He doesn't seem so bouncy. He had a foot injury going into tonight too. He's dealt with ankle sprains. He dealt with that hyperextended knee against who was that against? I don't know. It was about a week or so ago. And OKC. And then he apparently has a foot injury too. So dude hasn't been as energetic, probably because dude's the legs are all messed up. You know what I mean? He's playing through injury, and he's not playing as bad as Blazer fans are acting. Blazer fans have been a little over the top with their criticism, which surprised me, because I thought they were going to be more chill this year, because we didn't have an Evan Turner or Al-Farouq Aminu or a Myers Leonard or a guy like that. But Whiteside's going to be fine. I've said that the whole entire time. Dude's starting to get healthier. He's starting to put together better performances. He had a good performance tonight, so I don't know why there would be negativity about him right now. Dude's just only going to get healthier, hopefully. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. And dude's fine. That's the thing. Him and CJ were taking a lot of heat.
And we talked about this before. He just moves in a slow way. He's not super mobile, off the roll.
Zach O'Calapano says Blazer fans are listening to Heat fans too much.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't see him being lazy. Yes, there are times where he makes really bad decisions, but he's just we compared him to a tree earlier in the year. He just doesn't move very fast, and I think that gets confused for laziness. I hope it's not laziness, because he just doesn't seem like he moves super well out there on the floor.
Yeah. So we shouldn't be talking negatively about Hassan right now. I don't understand that.
I also think it's kind of unfair to make him just put him in there and expect him to be the same way Nurk is on the court, and that's what our coaches are we're trying to force him to do at the beginning of the year. And that's just not his game. He needs to be more around the basket. Setting a pick 25 feet from the hoop just is not a good idea for him, because he's not quick enough to get back into position fast enough to make the defense pay in those situations. So we need to set a pick with someone else and just leave him, around the basket, just hang out on the baseline in one of the corners where you can just dump pass to him for a dunk. And I just don't understand why we're even forcing him to try and be a pick and roll maestro right now when it's not working at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because almost all his scores are like when he seals someone down low and someone has a nice pass to him, or his man leaves him and someone dumps it off to him, or on offensive rebounds. It's not like he's getting like jump shots out of the pick and roll or something like Nurk would, or making plays up there. I mean, he's had a few good passes from the top of the key, but it's not like that's his game. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Is Ant getting most improved player realistic? I don't think so. Usually that's reserved for guys that have an uptick to around 18, 19 points per game. Anfernee right now is only averaging 11 points per game, so a second-year player becoming a 10-point per game scorer after not playing the rookie year doesn't win most improved player. You had guys like that last year. Monte Morris was one. Thomas Bryant was another, and they didn't really get love. It was the guy that went from averaging like 8 points per game to 19, or was it 17 points per game? I don't know. It was Siakam, and it should have been Siakam. So usually it's like I don't know, like he's playing really, really well, but we knew he had a ton of talent last year, so it's not like his talent level just had a huge increase or anything. He was a good player last year. He just didn't play and was too raw and didn't really know the game well enough. Meanwhile, a guy like Siakam improved his three-point shooting a ton, improved his playmaking, started finishing a lot better, became a better ball handler. Like Siakam's skill level improved a ton. So, I mean, like a guy like CJ, you could say the same thing I just said about Anfernee, but dude went from 6 points per game to 20 points per game on a playoff team as a starter. Right. So.
I don't know if Simons keeps improving this much game after game. I could see him being in the like 15 to 16 point a game, and then he could start to get in that conversation.
Yeah, if he was getting like 16 point per game, different story.
I just don't know if he's going to get unleashed enough to let that happen.
I don't think so. They should be staggering Dame and CJ, which they started to kind of do, but I feel like they're not even like staggering them like they used to. They're overplaying them. So one of them is always on the court because those guys are playing so much.
Can we please talk about this? I am so mad right now.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, shoot.
In the first half, so I wrote this down. So still don't understand why we don't ever mix up rotations. Why does Dame always play the whole first and third quarters no matter what the situation? Like there was, and today, like we didn't even increase the lead or do it. It's not like we're like blowing up in certain situations because Dame's still on the floor. We're not pulling away from teams. So what's the point of even doing that right now? So there was a time, there was about like 3 minutes left in the first where we could have just sat him. He could have sat like an extra couple minutes. We need to steal minutes for him to rest in the first half so that when stuff like what happened tonight happens, we're not killing him in November. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like we're playing like we don't care about the playoffs at all. And I know if we don't make the playoffs, then it won't matter. But like we need Dame to be to be fresh for the playoffs, and him playing 44 minutes against the Atlanta Hawks in November is not a good strategy to do that.
And what I don't understand is we have a perfect guard replacement for him. I know we're thin at small forward, especially without Hood. So a lot of those, Simons played 24 minutes. Some of those were at small forward in a 3-guard lineup with Dame and CJ. But like, dude, Simon should be getting 30 minutes per game, and you should be giving Dame at least like an additional like 4 minutes of rest. You got a great third guard right now who, after this game, he's averaging 12 points per game, and he's efficient with it, around 50% from the field, 40% from three. Dude's getting better pretty much every game. I'd say his defense might be better than Dame and CJ's right now, believe it or not. Which is something I didn't expect to be saying, but he's looked solid on defense. At least a little bit more consistent. Yeah, I mean, like he's playing with a lot of energy on that end. He's better than I expected him to be at this point. Let's just say that. But he's only playing, after this game, he's only getting 20 minutes a game.
Yep.
Dude should be getting 25 to 28 minutes per game right now. If you play Dame and CJ 36 minutes per game, that leaves 24 minutes per game at the backup guard spot. If you stagger Dame and CJ, and then you could maybe play 3 minutes of a 3-guard lineup, maybe 5 minutes of a 3-guard lineup, that would get Simons 27 to 29 minutes per game. I think that's the way to go. I miss how Stotts used to do it, man, because he used to take Dame out at the 3-minute mark left in the first and third quarter.
Yeah.
Well, wait, he subbed CJ out at the 6-minute mark left in the first and third quarter. Got CJ 3 minutes of rest until the 3-minute mark of the first and third quarter. Then he subbed CJ back in for Dame. Played CJ 6 minutes through to 9 minutes left in the second and fourth quarter. Subbed Dame back in for him. That got Dame 6 minutes of rest a half. Sat CJ another 3 minutes until the 6-minute mark left and in the second and fourth quarter, and then subbed CJ back in, and that got both those guys 6 minutes of rest
and then
each half. So that
36 minutes a game, which is fine. That's not too crazy.
And the thing is, you get 12 minutes in a row there for Simons, starting with 6 minutes left in the first and third when CJ initially subs out, and then when you sub CJ back in for the stretch run, then, that ends, or you keep Simons on the court and run a 3-guard lineup or something like that. So I miss how Stotts used to do that. Now is the time to do it more than ever, because Simons right now is our best 3rd guard we've ever had. He's better than Curry right now. Was.
On top of that too, so if you sub Dame out at 3 minutes, right, and your plan is to bring him back at 9 minutes, there's going to be games where Simons is doing well, and Dame doesn't even need to come back in because we're doing fine. Mm-hmm. And then you get him like an extra 2 minutes of rest or something, and then he's totally fresher for the second half. And I just, we have teams in the West that are load managing players' entire games right now, this early in the season. Yet we can't even afford to let Dame play less than 40 minutes against the freaking Atlanta Hawks at home.
And it's not like Dame was in the middle of a 60-point performance. Dame had a good game, had 30 points, but we're gonna run him into the ground.
But we had a back-to-back Thursday, Friday. We had 1 day off. We played today, and now we have a back-to-back again on Tuesday and Wednesday. He cannot be playing 40 minutes on all these games. And I know we need him to win, but we just have to do something different. We cannot run him into the ground this early in the season.
Yeah, for sure. Now the thing is that we are forgetting about these 44 minutes. I have forgotten this entire time. There was 5 minutes of overtime.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he played the whole second half. He didn't sub out once in the second half. And
that's crazy. He played, that's why I noticed in the first half, it seemed like he sat for a lot longer than usual, sat 8 minutes or something like that. And I figured, okay, that means he's just going to, play the entire second half, or close to the entire second half. That's what I was feeling at halftime, given how much he sat in the first half. He sat, 9 minutes, I believe. That's, looking at the minutes breakdown, it had to be, 8-9 minutes. So, I don't know. We gotta do better with our rotations. Stotts' rotations have been a big issue for me so far this season. So it's good in a win, but dude's gonna get worn out and it's gonna cost us later. So.
And so people are saying, Dame tells Stotts he's good to go. But that's kind of our point, is that Dame's a baller. He's gonna want to stay in the game.
Yeah, and Ash just said Dame is always gonna say that even if he's tired.
Yep. And then, but that's why I mentioned getting him that extra rest in the first half and your rotation thing. So if he gets a full 6 minutes in the first half, let's say we're playing well and he gets 9 minutes in the first half, and then in the second half, if he has to play the whole half, he's a little fresher. But I just don't like situations where we make him play the whole first quarter, he sits out a few minutes, comes back in the second quarter, and then plays the whole second half. And then it goes into overtime, so he has to play 5 more minutes.
There's just no reason that we shouldn't be able to get him and CJ more rest when we got a dude who's absolutely balling out right now as our 3rd guard. Because Simons is absolutely terrific, and dude's only getting 24 minutes in a game where he has 20 points on 8 for 12 shooting, 3 for 5 from 3-point land. Looking at Simons' past few games, he's been scoring the ball really, really well in limited time. This dude could easily get 30 points in a game if he got Dame's minutes. This dude is for real. The hype is real. I don't think he was overhyped going into the season. Right now he's playing like he's not overhyped either. He did get 36 minutes against Brooklyn. So he did play a lot then, a lot of three-card lineups. So he had 15 points. He's had
That's because he played the whole fourth.
Yeah, but he's had over 13 points in the last 5 games. Every game in November he has 13, 14, 17, 15, 20. He's shot decently efficient. My phone died. Damn. I forgot to plug it in. So I won't be able to read comments for a little bit, but yeah, so I don't know.
So chat's talking about Dame as MVP, and this is the problem is like we talked about this the other day. If you would have told us, that he was putting up these numbers, I would have thought we were like 8-2 right now at worst. If you just read me Dame's stat sheet through 10 games before the season started, and I'd be like, oh, he's for sure going to win MVP if he's putting up those numbers. But yeah, we have to win. Like we have to be one of the top 3 seeds in the playoffs, and he has to put up these numbers in order to do it. You can't have the numbers without the wins, and you can't have the wins without the numbers if he wants to win MVP.
Yeah. And right now, Giannis is the front runner because Milwaukee is winning, and Giannis is playing better than last year. Yep. Defensively, Giannis is playing better than last year for sure. Giannis has been phenomenal defensively, and then offensively, he's dude's a freak. Like he's living up to his nickname. And it sucks, Dame's been absolutely phenomenal. Dame might be more impressive than Giannis because Dame isn't a 6'11" athletic freak, you know what I mean? So it's like what Dame is doing out there is a lot more skill-based than Giannis. Not saying Giannis is bad skill because Giannis is phenomenally skilled, but like the skill that Lillard is displaying right now is more than any other player, in my opinion. With Curry out, dude right now is the best point guard in the league. And even once Curry gets back, you could maybe make that case as well, because Curry was struggling with that Warriors team. He was struggling to do anything positive with that Warriors team, and kind of a similar situation Dame has seen. Dame's phenomenal, so.
Some people are saying Siakam should be MVP.
How much is he averaging a game right now? No one expected Raptors to be that good. I was saying the Raptors were going to be a good team. Eric was the one who took under on 45 wins on the Raptors, and I was saying no, they're over for sure. And he, they're 7-2. They just beat the Lakers in LA. They were great without Kawhi last year. They were a great team. So I don't understand. I thought people should realize that team's still going to be a good team. You got a lot of talented players on that roster. And the thing is, like, Marc Gasol has been horrible for them. He's been absolutely horrible, and they're still picking up wins. They're still winning games. That's a team to watch out for at the deadline if a star becomes available. Luckily, their star player is a power forward, and that's kind of the position we need most, so we shouldn't be competing against them for a star. But, yeah.
But yeah, so I thought that's what was going to happen was guys like Lowry and Gasol and Ibaka would start to fall off, and that Siakam wasn't enough, losing both Kawhi and Danny Green to carry that team. But yeah, they've been pretty good.
But they got Anunoby, who is going to take a jump, and he's been solid, and they got Van Vliet. That's a good team. But Siakam, I have to see his stats. My phone is I have to like bend the charger in it in a like specific way to get it to charge. It's super frustrating. I think I got it right now. It keeps unplugging and plugging back in. If any of you guys have ever dealt with a charging port like that, you guys know what I'm talking about right now. Yeah, by the way, Twitter at HoopsJock for Eric, at ToryJonesYT for us. If you don't follow us, go follow us.
I was asking someone else's.
I know. Twitter. I just figured it was a perfect time to plug our Twitter. There's that. Also, if you want to join us on the podcast or on the post-game show, then donate to us on Patreon. If you want to join me for a Monday mailbag, there's a perk in there as well. There's different perks. Like get credited in the outro. I still need to do that. Right now I just have post-game shows, but once we start making merch, I'll do like merchandise giveaways for Patreon donate. I can't talk, dude. I can't talk. They're like, you don't deserve this money. You can't even say words. But yeah, if you donate to us on Patreon, we'll $10 or more will get you on this post-game show. We got a couple of those to hand out. I know right now we got 2 guys donating $10 or more. One's Gervier. Hopefully I said his name right. Gotta get him on here if he wants. And then another guy is a YouTuber who has over 1 million subscribers. There's a guy named Reggie Coos. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he's a $25 Patreon donator to this platform. Dude's like YouTube famous. So that's like our, you know how teams have star fans. He's like our Spike Lee.
You got to get him on here, man.
Oh, for sure, dude. For sure, because that dude's he's from New Jersey, but he's a Portland fan. He's been a Dame fan. Said he'd been a fan for like 8-9 years. So have to get him on here. Shout out to him. But if you guys want to join us, I'm plugging the Patreon. Also, if you guys want maybe merchandise, let us know. I posted a poll in the community tab. If you haven't voted on that, go vote. Because depending on how much people would want some Blazers Uprise merchandise, that'll decide like how soon or how fast I put it out. His name is Reggie Coos, Kouz. But yeah, go to the community tab. You guys could do it right now. Go to the community tab, vote on that poll if you haven't already done so, on whether or not you guys would buy a shirt if we put one out. Because I'm thinking about putting out merchandise. It would be cool to have some Blazers Uprise gear out there in the community. It would be cool to run into somebody in some Blazers Uprise gear, spread the brand name, that type of thing. Be our personal billboard for Blazers Uprise. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of. But for real though, we'd get some designs, have you guys vote, something like that. Eric, it's $100 for you.
All right.
What were you saying?
I was going to ask if anyone lives in the Portland area and is going to the game on Wednesday night. I might go.
Wednesday, that's the Raptors game, right?
Yep.
That's going to be a tough game, man. Be ready to rage quit after leaving the arena.
Especially second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. We gotta beat Sacramento, man. That Sacramento game's important. That's a game we won earlier this year. Already running it back at Sacramento. It's a game we gotta win. Go 5-6, come back home, have a chance to knock off a really good team to go to 6-6. That's important. You don't want that Raptors game to be threatening us with a 4-8 record if we lose it. 4-8 record, that's not where we want to be. 6-6 would be acceptable. 5-7 would be acceptable. 4-8 would be not so good.
Nope. Yeah, Sacramento's. I mean, it's not a must-win, but we definitely need to take care of business. And then we'd be riding a 2-game winning streak. Maybe get some confidence back and knock off the Raptors at home.
We still got a lot of issues to figure out.
I know.
I mean, dude, when we can barely take care of the Hawks at home, we need overtime to take care of the Hawks at home. That's rough. Trae Young, man, that dude's legit, and he struggled. We got a bit lucky too with him struggling. I didn't look at the box score for the Hawks. I should do that before we wrap up this podcast, because I am curious to see like who else helped them scoring. They got a lot of like unheralded players, so it seemed like a team effort.
Yeah, that was the problem. Was Trae Young sat in the second half for a long time, and we didn't take advantage of it at all. I think we were even losing when he came back in the game.
Jabari Parker, 27 points in 37 minutes, 13 for 23 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, 11 rebounds, 2 assists. He fouled out. That's a guy who wouldn't be a terrible trade target at some point, because he's looked reinvigorated this year. He has his injury issues, and this whole team seems cursed right now. But dude's making $6 million a year, has a player option for next year. He's probably going to decline that because right now he's playing like a guy who should be paid more than that for sure. But they also have $18 million contracts. You got Evan Turner, who we can't reacquire via trade for a year. And they got Alan Crabb, who's also a former Blazer. But you could maybe trade out Whiteside, once Nurkic comes back. I know I said I wouldn't talk about trades, but this is specific to this game because Jabari Parker's looking great. I mean, maybe Whiteside for Jabari Parker and
Chandler Parsons.
And Alan Crabb. Well, Alan Crabb, Jabari Parker, the salaries work. We have that extra roster spot. We get an expiring contract and a guy only making $6 million back. Jabari Parker would help us at that power forward spot, which has been a major sore spot for us. You know, he'd take Hezonja's and Tolliver's minutes until Collins came back. The Hawks are thin on centers, and probably expect Jabari Parker to leave. I mean, maybe they want to re-sign him. I don't know. So maybe you'd have to give up a pick there. I'm just kind of spitballing. It's hard to find forward targets that make sense for us. That's one that I haven't thought about that I think would make sense as a scorer off the bench, because he looked great.
I mean, right now would be our starting power forward.
Oh yeah, he'd be playing 35 minutes per game right now. DeAndre Hunter played 39 minutes. He impressed me from three. This is a rookie. He was the 4th pick in the draft. He played at Virginia last year, and he has kind of like a Kawhi Leonard type of feel to him, like a young Kawhi Leonard. You know, Kawhi Leonard wasn't some big-time name when he came into the league. DeAndre Hunter was a much higher draft pick than Kawhi Leonard was, but he kind of, form-wise, kind of similar. Just the way they kind of move is kind of similar. He's a really good defender, and he shot the ball decently from 3 tonight. If he can add more to his game, become a pull-up threat, become a ball-handling threat like Kawhi did, then DeAndre Hunter has a potential to be a future all-star. Alex Len struggled. He shot 2 air balls, both of them long. He had 4 points. Kevin Huerter had a couple clutch buckets, 15 points. Trae Young was 35 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, so it looks like a great game, but he was 9 for 30 from the field, which equates to about some rough math here. That's a 30% from the field. 3 for 13 from 3. He really struggled. He also had 7 turnovers. So although he had 35, 10, and 8, it was not a good performance by Trae Young.
Hey, real quick, Ryan Adams just donated.
Oh, for sure. I was looking at box score. Shout out Ryan Adams, $5 donation, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the love. Yeah, so if there's anything you guys want me to cover from this game, it's going to be a little shorter stream. Got some stuff to do. But if you guys have any questions left, you can leave them. If I missed a question, leave them on my Monday mailbag. That'll be coming out tomorrow. I think I need more questions for that anyway. So,
hey, Brian, I don't think anyone's saying that Jabari Parker is gonna take this team over the top. I think Tori's just looking at cheap options if we just need some.
I mean,
depth.
That would be like a Rodney Hood type pickup,
right? Yeah.
And Rodney Hood won us a series, so.
Well, actually, you know what? So as we get past December 15th here, we can start talking about guys like that for Tolliver and Hezonja and, smaller contracts like that, and not even worrying about the bigger ones.
We'd have to trade another guy along with those two, though, wouldn't we? Because that's $1.6 million each. That's $3.2 million. That doesn't quite match $6.5 million. I'm
saying trades like the Hood trade last year, where we traded 2 minimum level players for Hood and got back and, threw in a couple second rounders.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Parker. We'd have to put in a third player in that trade, so I wouldn't probably do that. But we could start looking at moving those guys, which would help, I think, in both getting them off the roster and bringing back someone like Hood.
Maybe it's just hard to think of targets that don't make much. And teams usually don't give up players for second round picks that early. So, but definitely once that December 15th date rolls around, we can start actually talking about some trades that would have a chance of happening right then, because right now we're thin at that position. So looking at some of these questions, Chris Stevens, will Ant's pick and roll defense get better anytime soon? He's just skinny, so when he gets hit by a screen, he can't really fight his way through it. He kind of dies on screens a bit. So once he adds more strength, he'll be better getting through screens. We're not going to lose Simons in free agency. He has 3 years left on his contract, and then he's a restricted free agent, so any offer that he gets that he wants to sign, we can match and keep him. So he'll be a Blazer for at least the next 8 or 9 years. This dude is going to be a Blazer until he's around 30 years old, so you don't have to worry about that. Do you think CJ's game tonight was a big decider in the result of the win? Yeah, I mean, dude, 11 for 23. 4 assists, 8 rebounds. Yeah, dude definitely helped us win this game. Hit some couple clutch shots. It was good to see him break out. Hopefully he can pivot this into better performances down the road. Hopefully this is a sign of him breaking out.
Real quick, with the emphasis on the off-arm push-off this year, he's got to stop doing that. He's doing
No.
all
That's his
drives.
go-to, man.
I know.
Yeah.
He doesn't even need to do it, though. Like, it doesn't usually create that much space. And but if they're watching for that, he's really got to stop it because he's got called the last few games at least once a game for that. And, he's just got to just keep it down a little bit. You just don't push it out,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, because that was a transition play where he did have a seam, and he kind of searched out the contact instead of just trying to hit the seam like he should have. Looking at questions, yeah, any players that you can buy on the low right now, any players you like off the possible bottom feeders this year, I would have to look at rosters and stuff. That's, if you have some targets for me, leave them on my last mailbag. I'll get to them in my trade talk video.
I've mentioned this before, but Jonah Bolden's not playing in Philly, and he'd be a good big in our system.
Yeah, Gary Trent Jr. in a second-round pick for Jonah Bolden. I'd do that right now. Guard that can hypothetically shoot makes more sense for Philadelphia than a big they're not going to play who's a bit older. So Gary Trent Jr. for Jonah Bolden could be a good trade. I don't think Neil will do that because he hasn't seemed to be all that worried about our lack of big depth.
Right, yep.
Bogdanovich is a guy that I think we could definitely look at. The problem is he's not. How much is Bogdanovich making?
The Sacramento one?
Yeah.
I think it's around 10 to 11 million.
Yeah, matching that salary would be hard.
The guys in like the 9 to 12 million range are really tough.
The thing is, if they had like a $10 million expiring contract, then we could sort that out, but they don't really have that. They have a lot of crappy vets signed to like 2-year, $12 million a year deals, like Trevor Ariza, who's been awful. Maybe that helps you land a guy like Bogdanovich. Maybe they don't want Trevor Ariza's contract anymore, and Bogdanovich isn't quite playing all that well right now, even though he has a lot of talent. Maybe you could trade Bazemore for like Ariza's contract, which is a negative. And then you could upgrade Bazemore into Bogdanovich by taking on Ariza's contract. That could be something we could look at. And then Ariza's contract would be expiring next year, which would be a helpful trade asset to bring in somebody else, and we wouldn't give up picks, so we'd still have all our picks and all that. That could be a go-to move.
Yeah, so he's at $8.5 million this year. Okay. The $10 million is his qualifying offer for next year if you want him to be a restricted free agent.
Okay.
But yeah, like him and Ariza, that's a little over $20 million. So it would probably work a Bazemore.
Works for Bazemore, and then Bogdanovich takes Bazemore's role. And
Ariza too. Yeah, Ariza can play a little bit in that role.
You could also look at maybe Whiteside for. They got Bielitsa, who you could combine with Bogdanovich. So maybe Bazemore to pick for Bogdanovich and Bielitsa. Bielitsa is a great shooter, so great stretch four. Would help our power forward depth, and then you get Bogdanovich back to replace Bazemore, who's more of a Bogdanovich is younger, more of a long-term target.
That'd be a great trade.
Because Bielitsa's making $7 million. Bogdanovich
6.8. So yeah, it's close.
So you could maybe do something like that.
A little over 15 million.
Those guys will see next game. Those guys will see next game because we play Sacramento. So
I think that would. I'm just not sure. I don't know enough about Sacramento's situation, whether they're panicking like we are, or if they still think they're going to turn it around this season.
I mean, that would be a more later in the season.
Yeah,
but if they're not winning, that becomes very, very possible. I feel like that would kind of be one of the under the radar moves that Neil Olshey would do for guys that we're not really talking about. You know what I mean? Because that's
and we ripped off Sacramento last year.
Yeah, and then we'd
for Scouts trade.
And then we'd still have Whiteside to trade.
Yeah.
So you could still make a deal on top of that. Maybe for a Blake Griffin. You got like Blake Griffin, Bielitsa, and Bogdanovich. You keep Hood. You have Nurkic, Blake Griffin, Bielitsa, and like Scow as the fourth big, as emergency center, backup center, whatever. That would be a good lineup. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have to rely on Collins coming back. Yeah, that would be a good.
When
roster.
Collins comes back, dang, that's.
Or even if it's not Blake Griffin, even if it's an Otto Porter Jr.
Yeah.
I like that roster. So
So
we'll do
Kings
something,
are
I think.
Kings are kind of in an interesting situation because they just signed Buddy Hield to that big contract. They signed
Hmm.
Harrison Barnes to a big contract this summer. De'Aaron Fox has one more year after this one, and then he's going to get paid. So you wonder how much they're going to give to Bogdanovich in the offseason. They can afford to, or they can cap wise pay him whatever it takes as long as they offer him the qualifying offer. But I don't know how much they're willing to pay him after paying all those other guys.
I wonder if Bazemore in a couple seconds would get it done. For
Yeah,
Bogdanovich, probably not Bogdanovich and Bielitsa, so you'd probably have to attach it first. But if Bogdanovich keeps struggling,
yeah.
I don't know. Bazemore for CJ Miles and Bertans is another good trade idea because Bertans is on a 1-year deal, expiring contracts. So is CJ Miles, right?
Yeah, I want to say CJ Miles about 8.3 million and Bertans about 7 million off the top of my head.
Yeah. Or you could do Whiteside for Bertans and Mahimi because Mahimi's making 50 million. You'd save some money there, especially. I don't know. Bertans is definitely an under the radar target. Bobby Portis is overrated, but Bertans would be a good pickup.
You have to kind of look at two, like maybe a team like Sacramento. Dallas doesn't really have much to offer, but I'm trying to think of like teams that would possibly be interested in keeping Whiteside or Bazemore, and then like their bird rights would become important in those situations.
I mean, we can talk about this on our podcast tomorrow.
Right.
If you know, I mean, like that's
sure.
More for a podcast.
Yeah.
Jan Mahimi's hurt. The thing is, this trade wouldn't happen for a while, and Jan Mahimi would just be used as salary filler. We wouldn't really, and maybe an emergency big once he gets healthy. But Washington is over the cap, so to bring back in Whiteside, $27 million a year, they're trading Bertans, making $7 million a year. They got to trade out another big salary, and Mahimi's an expiring contract. So trades like that make sense where we're taking back a bad Porter Jr., Blake Griffin, Kevin Love, but there's some under-the-radar cheap targets on teams that also have expiring contracts that could help them match salary that we could possibly go after. So go to my past mailbag, leave me some under the radar targets so I can talk about new trade targets on that trade talk video, which I want to drop the first one on Tuesday. Had a crazy week last week. Hopefully going to drop the first one this next Tuesday. So go back to this past mailbag right now if you want, and leave me some trade suggestions. And then also go to that community tab and vote on whether or not you'd buy a Blazers Uprise shirt or hat, because I'm trying to pull the fan base. I think I got almost 100 views, which is about 5% of my subscriber base, 4% of my subscriber base. So definitely go vote on that, because if you guys want Blazers Uprise gear, I'll put it out, solid price, and you'd help me out for sure, and it'd be cool to get some gear out.
I want some.
I'll get you some. You'll get a deal as my podcast. You'll get it for free as my podcast co-host who puts in your time.
I just want some gear I can wear on to games and stuff.
You're my podcast co-host. You've helped me with stuff, and it's the least I could do for my co-host, for my guys. So, but
hey, man, this is fun.
I'd maybe drop them around start of December. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to wrap up this post-game show. There's not much more to talk about. We're getting into all this trade talk. That's how you know. Yeah, that's how you know that it's time to wrap up the post-game show, because I don't know. It's a lot easier to complain than say good things. But I feel like that's because the team should be playing. They should be winning games like this. You know what I mean? They still. The thing is, there was a lot of problems tonight, but I don't want to sit here and have a negative post-game show just focusing on the same things we've talked about, the same things that we've pointed out are problems the past few games. It's also a little weird to have a positive post-game show. I was in a lot better of a flow during those negative post-game shows. Like I came on, it was just going.
Hey, we didn't have any Atlanta Hawk trolls on here tonight.
Oh, I know. We had no trolls because we won the game. Adam perceived Torrey has some move going. Hopefully moving again in a week. I'm looking at like a lease takeover for a couple months. Got the money to pay through December, and then I'd have to work for January. But I don't know if I'll be able to get the lease or get a cosign on a lease, because putting YouTube down as income, not enough income, and it's probably not gonna get me an apartment. But I'm working on like driving for Amazon Flex. I'm working on a job in my gym. I'm working on different stuff that hopefully I can get settled down and get a studio. It's a super plain setup. I want to get like LED strip lights and cool lighting back here, and hook up my TV to my computer somehow, and have like maybe like logos playing back there, something. I want to deck out a studio. It'd be cool to do a behind the scenes studio building video, vlog type video or something like that. Ryan Adams says, if I won the lottery, I'd buy you a house, bro. I appreciate it, man. But yeah, so move was all right. A little weird being in a different place. I miss, I moved out of the house I grew up in, which I love that house. Beautiful, beautiful 1-story, chill, comfy house. So, but that's why my life's been hectic. Moving and school and all that, and trying to sort things out. But yeah, so anyway, we're going to sign off. Blazers got a win tonight, 124-113 against the Atlanta Hawks. Broke their 4-game losing streak. Hopefully they can turn this into a winning streak. Hopefully they can take care of business on Tuesday against the Sacramento Kings. That'll be our next game. We got our podcast tomorrow that will be dropping. I don't know necessarily what time, because I got a lot of things to take care of tomorrow, but it should be around 3 p.m., 4 p.m., sometime around there. And then I'll drop Monday Mailbag. I'll drop a quick hitter or two in the next couple of days as well. That's what the upcoming content plan is looking like. So anyway, that wraps it up for me and Eric. I'll see you guys later. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.